Hey there, welcome back to Lin's story. He's that not-so-pretty newbie who's been surprising everyone by clearing dungeons and wrecking monsters like it's a Black Friday sale. Let's see what crazy stuff he's up to this time. And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, the link's down in the description. Lin has cleared many dungeons, so he decides to stop thinking too much and rest for now. Tomorrow, he plans to head to the Tyrant Desert to level up his other skills. Meanwhile, the hunters from Bailey Academy return from their dungeon run, looking proud as they believe they have set a new record. When other hunters in the dungeon hall see them celebrating, they start laughing, knowing something they don't. Bailey Academy's team is thrilled, thinking they have cleared the dungeon in 15 hours and 58 minutes, which should be a new record, so they start chanting, "All hail Bailey Academy." However, when one of their members checks the information board for the Tyrant Desert dungeon, he realizes something is wrong. The new record is listed under someone who obtained the Tyrant's heart, yet their team didn't get it, so someone else must have beaten them. He rushes to his leader and shows him the name of the record holder, Lin. Their leader is shocked to see that Lin, a level 21 hunter, cleared the dungeon in just 14 hours, 7 minutes, and 43 seconds. But what's even more unbelievable is that he did it alone. Remembering the man who entered the dungeon just before them, he refuses to believe it, shouting that it's impossible for a level 21 hunter to clear the dungeon faster than their entire team. Another hunter suggests they return first and talk about it later, while the rest of the hall erupts into laughter, with hunters joking that Bailey Academy has been humiliated twice in a single day. Someone comments that this is hilarious, saying that Lin is far too overpowered, and Bailey Academy is nothing compared to him. Hearing all this, the Bailey Academy hunters grow furious, and their leader orders them to leave. The next day, Lin wakes up fully rested and heads back to the dungeon hall, thinking that if he can find some oasis fruits again, he might be able to max out his slow curse and skeleton armor skills. Just then, a man approaches him and rudely asks if he is Lin, the one who solo cleared the Tyrant dungeon before ordering him to follow, because Bailey Academy's headmaster wants to meet him. Lin ignores him completely and continues walking, which makes the man furious. He calls Lin arrogant, asking if he even knows who Bai Li Sheng is, but Lin, still unfazed, simply says he doesn't know, and that if Bai Li Sheng wants to meet him, he should come himself. Still fuming, the man watches as Lin walks away and heads straight for the Tyrant dungeon. Lin checks the dungeon's cooldown time and sees that it takes 9 days to reset naturally, but with 2,000 points, he can reset it instantly. However, since it also costs 500 points to enter, he realizes that resetting and entering again will cost him a total of 500 points. Just then, the other hunters in the hall notice him and wonder if he's about to solo clear the Tyrant Desert again, now that he's familiar with it. One hunter excitedly says that Lin is definitely going to break his own record. Meanwhile, we see Shu Yan arrives there surrounded by hunters, all of whom beg her to ask Lin if he can take them into the dungeon. Since Lin can clear it alone, they hope he will take them along, offering to pay him points in exchange. At first, Shu Yan refuses, but the hunters keep pleading, saying they won't take any experience, equipment, or materials, just the dungeon clearance. Realizing how desperate they are, Shu Yan finally agrees to help them ask. At the same time, Bai Li Sheng's underling returns to report that Lin refused to come, and even demanded that Bai Li Sheng see him instead. Bai Li Sheng, clearly angered, calls Lin a fool who doesn't know his limits, and his underling agrees, saying that Lin is far too rude. Bai Li Sheng laughs, saying that Lin thinks he's strong just because he cleared the Tyrant Desert, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just a low-level dungeon. He remarks that Lin probably doesn't understand the second job change, and that no matter how strong he is now, he might turn into a nobody after evolving. Deciding that Lin isn't worth their attention, Bai Li Sheng says that if they ever see him outside in the future, they'll teach him a lesson. Back in the dungeon hall, Shu Yan explains the hunter's request to Lin, telling him that they only need to complete the dungeon task issued by the academy and will each pay him 1,000 points to take them. Lin is surprised, as he didn't know about this academy task. The hunters explain that they have been stuck on it for too long, and without completing it, they can't enter the academy. Lin apologizes, explaining that he is a new student and wasn't aware of this. Everyone is shocked to hear this, finally understanding why Lin's level is still low, despite his strength. Immediately, the hunters surround Lin, begging him to take them along, and shouting that they'll each pay 1,000 points. Lin, knowing he doesn't have many points left after buying equipment, realizes that resetting the dungeon and entering again will cost him 2,500 points, but with 39 hunters, each paying him 1,000 points, he can earn 39,000 points in one go. Agreeing to their request, Lin says he has one condition: the oasis fruits belong to him. The hunters, overjoyed that Lin has agreed, quickly accept the condition, but Shu Yan is surprised since oasis fruits are extremely rare. Still, she promises that if they find any, they will give them to Lin. Lin then asks who will join first, and immediately the hunters rush at him, fighting for a spot. Some desperately claim they have been stuck on this task for nearly a year, but Shu Yan quickly silences them, telling everyone to queue properly or risk Lin changing his mind. Hearing this, the hunters quickly form a line, and once Lin collects all 39,000 points, he thanks Shu Yan for the trouble. She tells him it's nothing, and when he asks if she has completed her own task, she confirms that she has. Lin then enters the dungeon with the hunters and instructs them to stay behind him. They quickly agree, promising to follow his every command. Lin summons his skeleton warriors, and as dark green flames spread across the ground, his army of undead rises. He orders them to search for oasis fruits. The hunters are shocked at the number of skeletons, realizing that Lin's profession must be legendary. Just then, a level 25 desert ghost tree emerges from the ground, but Lin's skeleton warriors kill it in a single hit, stunning everyone. One hunter says his entire party took 2 minutes to kill one last time, realizing just how powerful Lin really is. However, Lin notices that instead of gaining 400,000 experience, he only receives 7,500, meaning the experience is split among everyone present. But now he has earned 39,000 points, so he knows he needs to clear the dungeon alone a few more times to level up his skills properly. A few minutes later, Lin gathers over 100 monsters, making the hunters nervous. When he summons skeleton mages, they wonder if he will use their magic to wipe them all out in one go. Reaching the oasis, Lin realizes there are no oasis fruits this time and decides to finish the dungeon quickly and enter again. Suddenly, his skeleton warriors go berserk, slaughtering monsters left and right. The hunters panic, unsure of what's happening, but Lin simply activates his ultimate skill: corpse explosion. The dead monsters around the oasis detonate one after another, taking down even more enemies. The hunters watch in horror, realizing Lin is far stronger than they imagined. Just as they are processing what they saw, a hunter suggests testing their own strength, thinking that if Lin could defeat these monsters so easily, they might not be as difficult as they seem. Encouraged by the idea, a group sets out to lure a monster, but accidentally brings in 2 desert scorpions. Everyone gets ready for battle, and the support hunters prepare to heal. One hunter uses his taunt skill to draw the monster's attention. They notice that the desert scorpion is not fully grown, so they try to stay calm. The tanker moves to the front to stop the scorpion's movement, but the scorpion attacks him with such force that he is sent flying. The other hunters are shocked by its strength and quickly call for the support hunters to heal the tanker. While recovering, the tanker asks where the damage dealers are. A mage tells him to stop shouting and focus on fighting, but the damage dealer's attacks barely harm the scorpion. It has 6,000 physique, making it incredibly tough. The hunter's attacks are too weak. One hunter yells in frustration, asking what kind of damage they are even doing. The scorpion attacks the tanker again, but two hunters from the back jump in and tell everyone else to retreat while they handle it. After a long and intense fight, they finally manage to kill the desert scorpion. They are all exhausted and realize how difficult it was to defeat a level 25 scorpion. Each hunter gains 7,000 experience points, but now they understand how tough this dungeon is. They wonder if all large dungeons are this difficult. Now they finally understand how incredible Lin is. He fights these monsters all by himself. While Lin is busy hunting desert ants elsewhere, he gets a system notification that a level 25 desert scorpion has been killed. He sighs, thinking these hunters really cannot sit still. However, just as the hunters stop after killing one scorpion, they remember something. The second scorpion they lured is still there. The second scorpion suddenly charges toward them at high speed. The tanker, still recovering, tells the others to stop standing around because another enemy is still alive. Now, all the hunters feel scared. They are too exhausted to fight anymore and regret not listening to Lin's advice earlier. Just as the scorpion is about to attack, Lin's skeleton warrior suddenly jumps from behind the hunters and lands directly on the scorpion. The skeleton warrior uses its rage strike skill and instantly slices the desert scorpion in two. The hunters stand frozen in shock. Lin's skeleton warrior killed the scorpion in just one hit. That is way too powerful. A female hunter starts crying and thanks the heavens that Lin left one skeleton warrior behind to protect them. Another hunter agrees, but then he realizes something. It has been over 10 minutes, and Lin still has not killed any monsters. Another hunter reminds him that Lin is probably gathering all the monsters again. It is not like they have not seen Lin do this before. As they are talking, hundreds of system messages suddenly start appearing. Lin has killed many desert ants, and for each one, they receive 8,000 experience points. The hunters are completely shocked as their experience points rise rapidly. This is too much for them to take in. One hunter guesses that Lin is already at the boss. He has heard that there is a very powerful ant queen in this dungeon, a monster that is incredibly hard to defeat. Another hunter says he has also heard that if they cannot deal enough damage, the queen can heal herself and never die. A girl becomes angry after hearing them doubt Lin again. She asks them if they are still underestimating Lin. Meanwhile, Lin has already killed all the desert ants and the queen's bodyguards. Only the queen remains. Without wasting time, he uses his corpse explosion skill to finish her off. A system message appears, announcing that the level 28 queen ant has been killed. All the hunters receive 20,000 experience points. The hunters cannot believe what they are seeing. Just a moment ago, they were talking about how strong the queen ant is, and now Lin has killed her instantly. That was way too fast. Lin returns to them and says it is time to go. They are heading straight to the tyrant castle next. Lin plans to finish quickly so he can reset the dungeon again. When they finally reach the tyrant castle, everyone is amazed. For many of them, this is the first time they have made it this deep into the tyrant dungeon. However, their excitement turns to fear when they see the army of tyrant lion warriors standing in front of the castle. There are so many of them, it looks like an entire army. One hunter tells the others to imagine if Lin continues to solo clear this dungeon. If he does, he might reach level 30 in just half a month. The battle begins. Lin uses the same tactic as before. His skeleton warriors kill the tyrant warriors, and then he uses corpse explosion on their bodies to blow up the castle walls. The castle gate is completely destroyed. The hunters are left speechless. With the castle gate gone, everyone can now see the lion tyrant inside. It is their first time seeing a world-level boss. Even though they are standing far away, They can feel the intense pressure coming from the boss. Scared, they decide to retreat even further, unsure how long Lin will take. The lion tyrant finally stands up from his throne, ready to fight Lin. Lin and the boss face each other again. Lin apologizes to the boss, saying he is in a hurry, and begins the battle. His skeleton warriors climb onto the lion tyrant and attack. The other hunters watch from a distance. One of them comments that the world-level boss looks like an ordinary monster when facing Lin. Lin looks completely calm while fighting, making the hunters wonder if they could also fight the boss. Suddenly, a system message appears. Level 31. Lion Tyrant has been killed. Everyone receives 50,000 experience points. The hunters start crying with joy. They thank Lin repeatedly because they have been stuck on this task for 2 years. Now, they can finally move forward. Lin teleports back to the dungeon hall, where another batch of hunters is waiting. Shu Yan tells Lin that many hunters have been stuck on this task for a long time, and after hearing that Lin is carrying people through the dungeon, they all rushed over. Meanwhile, Bai Li Sheng's underling reports everything he saw to Bai Li Sheng. Bai Li Sheng realizes that Lin relies on corpses to use his corpse explosion skill. If they can stop him from summoning or remove all corpses, Lin will be powerless. He orders his underling to find Ling Zhen from Hidden Dragon Academy, planning to make Lin pay for taking the boss accessory from Bai Li Academy and embarrassing them. At the Shuajing Academy dormitory, Xia sits in her room, remembering her father telling her to save up points. She is frustrated because there are so many good things in the academy, but they all cost points. She cannot buy anything. She envies Lin because, with 30,000 points, he can probably buy anything he wants. She heard from Principal Liu that Lin arrived at the academy a few days ago. She wonders how he is doing, but she knows that with his strength, he probably has no trouble at all. On the second day, the principals of the academies hold a meeting. Ning Tai-ran, the grandfather of Ning Yi and the dean of Xiajing Academy, is very angry at Lin. Lord Bai notices his anger and asks what happened. He knows that Lin has a calm personality, so he wonders why Tai-ran is upset. Tai-ran shows them how Lin is charging money to carry students through the Tyrant Desert. Lord Bai asks if that is unusual, since hunters have always done this. But Tai-ran explains that Lin is carrying 39 people alone, which is why many students who were stuck for years are now clearing the dungeon. Lord Bai laughs, saying that Lin is impressive. He didn't expect Lin to carry so many people, and since the fee is high, Lin will surely not disappoint them. Tai-ran becomes angrier and reminds Lord Bai of the real purpose of this task. The academy designed the task to filter out the most talented students. If students get stuck, that is their problem. But now, Lin has broken the system. Lord Bai agrees that Lin is going against the academy's plan, but he also asks, what can they do? The academy created the rules, and Lin has not broken a single one. Bai also admits that he does not like this task. Over the years, many talented students got stuck only because they couldn't find a party. This system is unfair. Meng agrees, saying the academy's system is too old-fashioned and should change. Tai-ran slams the table in frustration and yells that both of them are exactly the same. Bai tells him to calm down. He reminds Tai-ran that his temper is still bad, even at his age. Bai also warns him not to touch Lin, or else Lin will take away the dungeon palace. Tai-ran leaves angrily. After he is gone, Meng tells Bai that Tai-ran's temper will never change. Bai laughs and says there is only one person in the world who can control him. Meanwhile, in the Tyrant Desert Oasis, Lin is using his level 21 skeleton armor. This skill increases his defense by 2100 Oz, has a cooldown of 5 minutes, and can be used on others. Lin is happy, because after eating many oasis fruits, his skeleton armor, has finally leveled up. With his talent's blessing, his defense has increased from 2100 to 21,000. Now he believes he can take the lion tyrant's attacks head on. Next, he tests his level 21 slow curse on a desert scorpion. Now his slow curse affects enemies in a 105-meter radius and slows them down by 105% for 1 minute. His slow curse has leveled up, and the debuff is even stronger, but he is also a little disappointed. His corpse explosion skill only levels up by using corpses. If that were not the case, he would have used this opportunity to increase its level too. At the Xiajing Academy, the opening ceremony is about to start in 1 hour. Zumei and Xiaju are together. Since both of them have very few points, they chose a shared dormitory, but they didn't expect to become roommates. Xiaju says she does not have many points, but she will pay for their meals. While walking, Zumei notices someone. It is Feng, one of the top 4 students in the entrance test. He is a handsome swordsman, and many girls like him. Feng comes and greets them. While talking, Zumei asks if they have seen Lin. Lin is now a level 22 necromancer. His average stats are 400 strength, physique, and agility, with 2000 spirit. He is only wearing a level 11 Donatus sickle. His active skills include level 22 Soul Blaze, summon level 22 Skeleton Warriors, summon level 22 Skeleton Mages, Corpse Explosion level 3, level 22 Slow Curse, and level 22 Skeleton Armor. Lin is happy because he is finally level 22. Once he maxes out his skills, they will all level up together. After clearing the Tyrant Dungeon many times, Lin exits the dungeon. Lin thinks about the 350,000 points he has earned, but it is still not enough. A single intermediate grade skill scroll costs 80,000 points, and he can only afford 4. But to fully understand intermediate grade skills, 4 scrolls are not enough. He must find another way to earn more points. For now, he decides to attend the opening ceremony. In front of the academy's main building, all students gather. There are 10 minutes left before the ceremony starts, but Lin is nowhere to be seen. Xiaxue and the others worry. Suddenly, Feng sees Lin arriving. Lin's battle aura is so strong that it scares everyone. Xiaxue, Zhou Mei, and Feng are shocked. Lin looks even stronger now. Xiaxue notices that Lin still has the aura of battle. He must have just come out of a dungeon. The new students and audience feel a little afraid. Lin is the top scorer in the country, but to Xiaxue, he is her classmate and biggest rival. She calls him a dummy and tells him to come over. Lin is surprised to see them all together. Zhu Mei asks for Lin's level, and when he says level 22, they are shocked. It has only been a few days, yet Lin has reached level 22. Xiaxue asks how he leveled up so fast. Lin does not understand why they are surprised. If he wasn't carrying people, he would already be level 24. Feng mentions that in the Dungeon Palace, students can spend points to reset dungeon cooldowns. Xiaxue says that since Lin is the top scorer, he can spend points freely, but they must save. Zhu Mei agrees, saying that points are too hard to earn. Lin is confused because for him, points are easy to get. He remembers bank messages showing 39,000 points for every dungeon he clears. Suddenly, the ceremony starts. Professors welcome students and explain that Xiajing Academy has 3 social classes: ordinary students, academic students, and top students. Each group receives different resources. Students must climb the ranks to get better benefits. The academy has a tradition during the opening ceremony: freshman versus senior challenges. Seniors can challenge freshmen and pay points for the match. Freshmen can refuse, but if they win, they keep the points. If freshmen lose, they lose nothing. Lord Bai Meng and Tai Ran watch from the sky. Bai says this is just a cliché way to suppress new students. Tai Ran says that top students from all over the world come here, and they are all proud of their talent. Meanwhile, Lin is talking with Xiaoshui and the others when someone challenges him. It is Jen, who mocks Lin, asking if he is too scared to fight. Lin gets angry when he sees Jen again. Since they are in the academy, Lin cannot kill him. Lin asks how many points Jen is offering. Jen proudly says 5,000. Lin tells him that 5,000 is too little. Jen is shocked. He asks Lin how many points he wants. Lin points at Jen and says, "If you want to fight me, it will cost 100,000 points." Everyone watching is shocked when Lin demands 100,000 points. Most people only have between 5,000 and 7,000 points. Jen asks Lin if he is joking. He does not believe Lin even has that much. Lin stays serious and suggests a bet. If Lin wins, Jen must give him the same number of points Lin has. If Lin loses, he will give Jen all his points. Lin asks if Jen has the courage to accept. Jen feels pressured. Xiaoju is surprised, because this is the first time she hears Lin talk so much. She thinks Lin and Jen must have known each other. Jen is nervous. He wonders why Lin is so confident. If Jen refuses, he will look weak. But he also thinks Lin, as a new student, cannot have many points. Jen has strong backing, so he accepts the bet. Lord Bai calls Jen a fool and says he will be the first to lose. Meng calculates that Lin must have at least 300,000 points after carrying so many people. But Ning Tai Ran dislikes Lin and calls his methods dishonest. Lin, a level 22 necromancer and the country's top scorer, steps into the arena to fight Jen, a level 21 warlock from Bai Li Academy. The other hunters recognize Lin immediately. Some call him Godly Lin. One person who was carried by Lin in the Tyrant Desert says Lin must have earned at least 40,000 points per dungeon run. That means Lin has a lot of points. If he wins, things will be interesting. Jen mocks Lin, saying being the top scorer does not matter. Lin replies by pointing out that Jen's level is lower than his. This makes Jen angry. He brags about his qualifications and training at the academy. He claims to be a genius and says Lin is nothing. Lin repeats that Jen's level is lower. Jen gets even angrier, shouting that Lin is only lucky and that battlefield experience is more important. Lin calmly repeats the same words again. Jen is furious and finally insults Lin's family. This makes Lin truly angry. His eyes become sharp like a killer's. Jen freezes in fear. He remembers that same terrifying gaze from the dungeon palace. He wonders if Lin really wants to kill him. Jen tries to think logically. He says Lin only has summoning and corpse explosion skills. Without corpses, Lin should be useless. Lin does not respond. Instead, he raises his hand and summons a skeleton warrior. Lin warns Jen that if they were not at the academy, he would already be dead. The skeleton warrior jumps to attack, but Jen smashes a purple stone. The skeleton warrior turns to dust and disappears. Lin realizes his summoning skill is sealed. He checks but finds that he cannot summon any skeletons. Jen laughs loudly and says he used a summon seal talisman, a tool made to counter summoners. With no corpses and no skeletons, Lin is useless. Jen then casts Rain of Fire. Lin remains calm. He thinks Jen is being dramatic and wonders how long he can last. Ning Tai Ran calls Jen's tactic dirty. Meng says someone powerful must be helping Jen because the Summon Seal Talisman is an intermediate grade item that Jen should not have access to. Bai tells them to just watch. Jen will regret this. Jen's fire attack surrounds Lin. Jen mocks Lin and calls him stupid. But Lin's skeleton armor protects him completely. Lin is unharmed. Jen is shocked. He does not understand why his magic does not work against Lin. He attacks again, but nothing happens. Lin's skeleton armor is too strong. Jen tries different types of magic, but none of them work. After using all his skills, Jen stops. Lin, bored, asks if Jen is finished. Then Lin uses Spirit Soul Burn. Jen's whole body catches fire. He screams in pain and vomits blood. Blood even comes out of his eyes. A divine healer rushes to help him. Without the arena's protection, Jen would not have survived. The audience is shocked. The fight ends too fast. They barely see anything. They only see Jen being defeated instantly. Someone asks if that was even a real fight. Lin walks toward Jen. Jen is terrified and begs him to stay away. He is still in pain, even with the divine healer treating him. Lin tells him that he is lost. Jen no longer cares about points. He just wants to survive. He quickly agrees to pay whatever Lin demands. The referee announces Lin's victory. Then, he tells Jen that he must pay 358,000 points to Lin. Jen is completely shocked when he hears the amount he has to pay. Jen is shocked when he hears how many points he has to give. He cannot believe that Lin has collected so many points in such a short time. He insists that there must be a mistake. The professor looks at him with a serious expression and asks if Jen is saying a professor is lying. Jen quickly realizes his mistake and lowers his head, saying that is not what he meant. The professor tells Jen to hand over his points immediately. Jen's face shows fear because he does not have that many points. The professor checks and finds that Jen only has 128,000 points. These points are transferred to Lin first. The professor then tells Jen that he must pay the rest within 6 months. If he fails, he will be expelled. The professor also warns Jen that if he cannot pay, the academy will contact his family for compensation. Lin receives 128,000 points and leaves. Then, Xiaojue runs up to Lin and asks how he became so strong. At that moment, Lin receives a message on his communication device. It is from Bai, who tells Lin to get ready because they will leave in an hour. Lin is surprised. Bai had mentioned taking him to the Abyss battlefield after the opening ceremony, but Lin did not expect it to be so soon. Lin leaves the area. Meanwhile, Feng and Huanming approach Xiaoshui. She tells them that Lin is going to the Abyss battlefield. She comments that Lin is not taking any breaks. Feng has heard about the Abyss battlefield and knows it is the real battlefield and the front line of the human race. Humans and Abyss creatures have been fighting there for thousands of years. Huanming adds that the battlefield is dangerous, but also full of dungeons, secret realms, and opportunities. Lin goes straight to the weapons center to sell items. He sells gold-grade equipment for about 2 million gold coins. Right now, he has 140 skeleton warriors and 70 skeleton mages, so other equipment is not useful to him. Lin is at level 22, with his strength, physique, and agility averaging 360. His spirit is at 700, and he is wearing the Donatus scythe as his main weapon. After that, Lin and Lord Bai go to see Old Meng, who will teleport them to the Abyss battlefield. Old Meng uses his power to teleport them, but before that, Bai takes Lin to the Divine Tower. Lin gets excited upon seeing it. Bai reminds him to be patient. Bai knows that Lin has 2 chances to enter the tower, but he advises Lin to wait until his second evolution. That way, Lin can gain more benefits from it. A spiritual light shines from the Divine Tower, forming a magic circle that teleports both of them. They arrive at the Abyss battlefield. Lin is amazed by what he sees. In the sky, a large eye-shaped structure floats. It is the Demon Watcher, used to monitor the Abyss and prevent enemy attacks. Lin and Bai teleport to the front gate, where many guards are standing. The guards see Bai's badge and immediately stand at attention. Lin is impressed by Bai's influence. Bai laughs, knowing what Lin is thinking. He explains that the guards do not care about identity, only the badge. Bai tells Lin that he will get one for him soon. Bai takes Lin to the Sergeant Badge processing office. The receptionist is playing a game and gets annoyed when Bai interrupts. He rudely asks who dares to disturb him, but when he sees Bai's purple 5-star badge, he immediately changes his attitude and greets Bai respectfully. The receptionist, now under pressure, quickly processes the request. Lin hands over his identification card. Ain. The receptionist is amazed to see a 5-star divine general personally handling this request and wonders who Lin is. Lin receives a white badge. Bai explains that it is a sergeant badge and tells Lin to wear it instead of storing it in his inventory. The badge will keep track of the abyssal monsters he kills. Bai also explains the ranking system. White is the lowest rank, private, followed by black, sergeant, silver, captain, gold, major, and purple, general. The stars on the badge represent military achievements, and a 10-star promotion system is used. When Lin exceeds 10 stars, he will be promoted to the next rank. Bai himself is a 5-star divine general, a rank held by only 10 people in the entire divine empire. Lin wears the badge, and Bai takes him to the Hall of Heroes. Many sergeant badges float around. Bai explains that this place honors fallen heroes who died defending the empire. Even in death, they do not return to the heavens, but continue protecting the empire with their souls. Bai speaks a solemn prayer, asking the imperial sages to bless Lin. As he does, the Tower of Destruction, one of Shen Xia's 3 divine towers, glows brightly. Lin's body also begins to glow. Bai tells Lin that the Tower of Destruction has given him a spiritual imprint. A star disappears from Bai's badge. Bai explains that if Lin dies on the battlefield, they now have a way to resurrect him. It is like giving Lin a second life. Lin is shocked, but he is even more amazed that Bai sacrificed a whole star of merit for him. Lin sincerely thanks Bai, who tells him not to worry and just focus on killing more enemies. Bai explains the Abyss battlefield. The Shenxia Empire's war fortress is called the Eternal Great Wall. It consists of 9 fortresses in a row, each separated by over 1,000 kilometers. This wall has never been breached by abyssal monsters since its completion. Unlike other countries that often need help, Shenxia has always defended itself successfully. There are many dungeon entrances in the Abyss battlefield, but abyssal monsters attack humans before they can enter. The battles outside dungeon entrances are the most dangerous. Bai warns Lin to be careful and advises him to buy more teleportation stones to return to the fortress safely. Bai says his parting words and tells Lin that from now on, everything is up to him. Lin prepares to head into the battlefield. When the guards at the gate see he is only level 22, they ask if he came with his parents. They warn him that the weakest monsters outside are level 30, and that abyssal monsters will appear too. They tell him it is too dangerous. Lin thanks them but says he will go check the area. As Lin steps outside, he notices the strong abyssal aura. The visibility is poor, making it difficult to see far. As he walks, his skeleton armor suddenly activates as he has been attacked. And that's where we hit pause for now. That's a wrap. But don't worry, the story's far from over. There's still a lot more coming your way. If you've made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of Lin's wild journey.